Yeah.
Started. Okay. Sorry for our folks on the live stream. If you can hear me, thank you for your patience. We've been having some tech difficulties, but that's okay. All right. Well, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. Hi everyone via Zoom or YouTube or whatever's happening over there. My name is Leah Bacon, and I am our Director of Investment Advocacy with the Center for Employment Opportunities, also known as CEO. CEO is the largest reentry employment provider in the country, operating in 12 states across 31 cities, providing workforce development services exclusively to individuals returning to their communities from incarceration. We are so excited to gather today to discuss the Training and Nutrition Stability Act that has bipartisan support in both the House and Senate. I know we are excited to hear from our panels, but first I would like to acknowledge a few individuals and groups who made this event possible. Senator Gillibrand, we have Claire here in the audience with us, and Senator Ricketts for both of your leadership in introducing the Training and Nutrition Stability Act, or Senate Bill 3190. With Claire here, Ashlyn also from both of their offices for supporting in the coordination of this event. Our House leadership who introduced the bipartisan companion bill. Special thank you to Representatives Espaillat, Miller, Adams, and Molinaro for championing HR 3087. Our folks at Reda, Money, Greg, Mary, and Samantha, who joins us today, for your continued partnership and support on these issues. Samantha is from Reda's Government Partnerships and Policy team, where she works to cultivate strategic relationships with government agencies at the local, state, and federal levels. And of course, Representative Carter's team, who jumped in at the last minute to get this live stream. So thank you for all of your support with this. Alrighty, so as most of us in this room know, every 5 or so years, Congress considers the Farm Bill, which is a comprehensive bill that is the primary agriculture and food policy instrument of the federal government. One of the major parts of the Farm Bill is the nutrition title, which is responsible for nutrition food assistance programs, including the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. Taken together, more than 40 million Americans benefit from food assistance programs under SNAP, or 1 in 8 people. In a similar magnitude, 1 in 3 American adults has some sort of criminal record. CEO has the capacity to work with over 10,000 justice impacted individuals annually, and many of these individuals are coming to our CEO offices immediately upon release. The folks we work with are diverse in many ways. Some individuals come to CEO never having worked before, and others may have earned a degree or credential, but are experiencing challenges in re-accessing the workforce because of their prior justice involvement. The one common theme that we see across the board is that upon release, people need immediate support, and one of the most important ways is ensuring people have access to food. We will hear more from our guests, but access to food security improves one's ability to complete training programs, provide for themselves and their families, and restore dignity as they transition back into their communities. So I'm going to pass it over to Samantha at Reda to share more about Reda and how integral passing a bipartisan Farm Bill is for individuals with barriers to employment.
Thanks, Leah, and hello to all of you online. Good to see you. So if you don't know who REDF is, REDF, the Roberts Enterprise Development Fund, is a venture philanthropy and impact nonprofit that supports employment social enterprises nationwide. We have a heavy presence in the state of California, but we do serve ESCs across the nation. What is an ESC? ESCs are revenue-generating businesses achieving transformative social impact by providing jobs, training, wages, and support to people breaking through barriers to employment. Now, what do we mean by that? So who am I talking about? So folks like that are exiting incarceration, so that justice involved, people experiencing unstable housing, homelessness, folks experiencing domestic violence, just to name a few. We also have a lot of ESCs that serve youth and young adults. By investing the money that these businesses make into helping people with these diverse talents and experiences, they help people to become economically stable. At Reta, we invest exclusively in employment social enterprises by providing capital, capacity, and community to amplify their successes. By supporting and strengthening employment social enterprises, every person and every family will have an opportunity to thrive. Just a few facts for any data people online or in the room. ESCs provide a net benefit to society and the economy. So for every dollar in ESC spending, that return on investment is at least $2.23. Those who receive retention services, post-employment or post-program participation, 21% increase in the likelihood of housing stability. There we also see a $428 increase in total monthly income post-program. And every dollar spent by an ESC eases taxpayer burden by $1.31. Meaning a bipartisan farm bill that includes provisions that we'll dive into here in a second means that everybody wins. In a moment, you'll hear about some technical fixes that we're advocating for and how we can more efficiently use these dollars to improve the lives of the people that we intend to serve.
Actually, Leah, thanks, Samantha. Let's talk more about this correlation between food security and job training. So workforce training programs, such as those included in SNAP Employment and Training or SNAP E&T, or under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or WIOA, they gave me all the acronyms here. So they strive to make a stronger workforce by increasing access to quality employment and training opportunities, especially by prioritizing groups who are underrepresented in the workforce. These programs help provide high-quality training opportunities that lead to employment and long-term connections to the workforce. So at CEO, our participants are enrolled in SNAP E&T and or WIOA, and many of the core aspects of our program, from immediate pay and a transitional job to an advanced credential, are possible because of our partnerships with SNAP agencies and the public workforce system. And there's evidence that our programs work. So here's just a couple of the stats that we have and also from Reta that Samantha shared. But our model, CEO's model, has been extensively evaluated for its effectiveness in increasing public safety and employment outcomes, with one report showing a 48% increase in employment rates 3 years after enrollment into our program. So one of the key parts of our model is our transitional work opportunities that we'll hear from our panelists in a bit, that pay people daily for the work that they do. And what we see is that that immediate income really helps to stabilize people. So Samantha, could you talk a little bit more about the evidence behind federal training programs and specifically paying people during a workforce training program?
Yeah. So you'll probably hear me say this a couple of times, but high quality training programs are paid training programs. And so some of the stats again for data folks in the room. This also means that there's advantages for both the business and the participants and staff that they're serving. So the businesses gain a productive employee, and we can also align training needs with the industry that we're in, right? So a couple of quick facts. Post-program participants, we see short, medium, and long-term increases in earnings of up to 91%. So not just in the short term, but long-term results as well. We see employment placement data increase in rates between 30 and 40%. We see a 46% decrease in the usage of government benefits as people become more economically self-sufficient as they complete these programs and move into the next chapter of their lives. In addition to creating jobs, increasing incomes, and fostering stability by paying a wage program participants, this decreases taxpayer costs by reducing recidivism, incarceration, and homelessness. Those are all data points that we have and we can share. So all of that to say, we do have evidence that these types of programs do have profound impact on both the people and communities that we're serving, as well as the economy for all.
Yeah. So what we are here today to discuss is the Training and Nutrition Stability Act and the technical fix that it provides. So if I take us back to 2018, in the 2018 Farm Bill, Congress recognized how important paid training could be and strengthened the SNAP ENT program by including paid job training as an allowable activity. However, an unintended consequence occurred because the wage people started earning while in these federal workforce programs. So while they're enrolled in programs like CEO or some of the employment social enterprises that Samantha mentioned, that wage that people are earning is counting towards one SNAP eligibility, resulting in a significant reduction or complete removal of one SNAP benefit, leaving people with a choice. Do I continue in my job training program or do I keep my food security? The Training and Nutrition Stability Act, or Senate Bill 3190, solves for that and allows people to complete their training without losing their benefits. And these aren't hypothetical scenarios. And today we are really fortunate to have individuals with lived experience navigating these systems who bring firsthand accounts to the challenges that persist and opportunities for envisioning a workforce system that supports and puts people on the best path for success. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Kenneth Edwards, to lead us in the next discussion.
Thank you. My name is Kenneth Edwards. I serve as the Manager of Leadership and Organizing with CEO. The last few years, CEO has taken a strategic approach to elevating the voices of those that are directly impacted, introducing them to platforms where their voices are heard so that they can help influence policy change around barriers that directly impact individuals returning home. Today, we have a panel of CEO graduates, employees here to speak to you today. First up, we have Tiffany Shaw. Tiffany is from Oklahoma, Tulsa. She is a graduate of CEO, where she is also a policy committee alumni. Tiffany has used her lived experience with the criminal justice system to move the needle on campaigns forward in her state. This year, Tiffany met with state legislators and had the opportunity to share certain laws and barriers that need to be changed. She is now a resource navigator with Justice Link Tulsa, an organization that assists those navigating the criminal justice system. Joelle Miller. Joelle is from New Orleans and is a former site supervisor with CEO, now a job coach and retention specialist with the organization. Joelle helps prepare individuals in the first core component of CEO when recently released. It is at this time that navigating reentry for some is the most difficult. Having to juggle parole, mandated programs, finding housing, employment, and benefits is always difficult for most individuals coming home. William Lewis. William is an advocate and organizer in Pontiac, Michigan. William is currently a site supervisor for CEO. Here he has the opportunity not only to supervise, but also mentor individuals who are putting the pieces of their lives back together. Prior to his employment with CEO, William was the first justice-involved person hired as a youth specialist at Oakland County Juvenile Detention Center. We also know that the issue impact groups outside of the folks CEO works directly with. That is why we have and are excited to have Eric Davis, the Director of Programs for Young Adults here from Crossroads Campus in Nashville, Tennessee. It is not only to share his personal testimony, but also shed light on experiences of young adults or opportunity youth. At Crossroads, Eric oversees the job training, affordable housing, and supportive services for the youth. Eric's journey through the foster care system, youth homelessness, the poverty provides him with a unique and deeply personal perspective on these critical issues. Without further ado, I ask my panelists to speak into the mic. And the first question I'm going to ask Will. I know you utilized SNAP in the past, but only had the chance to use both SNAP and SNAP ENT once you came to CEO. Could you tell us what led you to CEO, and share your personal experience having access to not just food benefits, but paid training as well.
Yeah, first to see this opportunity. I was introduced to Center for Employment Opportunities by my federal probation officer. I just returned home after serving almost 22 years of incarceration, and she told me she thought because of the length of time I had been gone, all the type of change that it made in society, technology-wise, culturally, socially, that a program like CEO with its wraparound services and its people-centered approach would be perfect to help me reintegrate and transition back to the workforce. Honestly, I was a little skeptical at first. It's sad to say this was my first time making this transition. In the past, I've been incarcerated twice before, and both times I came home then, I had the full support of my family as I did this time. And first time I think I tried to go to college, I did railroad college, second time in the machinist training program, but neither of those times where that education was paid for. So I also had to work, and because of my background, my work status was very unstable. Just sometimes from job to job, sometimes under the table jobs, and that instability just bled into the rest of my life. So I was very much unacceptable. But this time, learning from those lessons, I came home and took advantage of the SNAP benefit program. When my probation officer told me about CEO, I went there, and upon seeing how the staff there really were dedicated to and took an interest in the participants' lives and really helped them overcome the barriers that we face when we make the transition, I was convinced. I was very impressed and convinced about the program. So I made the commitment to see it through. And I will say that having the SNAP benefits and that I think we're making $65, $64 a day, gave me a sense of independence and dignity because I was able to take care of myself. At the time I was staying with my aunt, who was a retired school teacher, was on fixed income. She couldn't afford to take care of a grown man as well. So being able to do that made all of the difference to me, being able to focus on achieving the things I need to do, taking advantage of opportunities that the Center for Employment Opportunities gave me to be successful.
Thank you, Will. I'm going to give you the next question again. You just touched on an issue that brings us here today, getting your benefits cut when you start participating in an employment training program. I know as CEO, you participated in transitional work crews, where you carried out various jobs for employers in the community, including warehousing, recycling management, and beautification work. Can you describe for the audience how participating in this work affected your SNAP benefits?
Sure. As I said, we earn about $64, $65 a day working in the transitional job Center for Employment Opportunities. But as part of the reporting requirements for the SNAP benefit program, once I started earning income, I filled out the paperwork and reported that to my agent. And within a week or two, my benefits were cut completely. Gratefully and thankfully, a job coach and a life skills instructor helped me reapply, and my benefits were reinstated, but they were cut drastically. From I think I was originally getting $330 a month to like $125 a month. And that definitely put a lot of strain on my support system at the time. Now, gratefully, they stuck it out with me, and we were able to get through. But had it not gotten them back, I certainly don't think I could finish the program. And even that strain of going through that moment of uncertainty, was trying. So I was grateful, like I said, to have the family support I had, and certainly that $65 a day made a difference. But those staff benefits were critical.
Thank you, Will, for sharing that, answering both questions. American Crossroads campus, you serve young adults who are disconnected from employment and education. A lot of individuals you serve rely on SNAP and SNAP EMT. Can you describe the specific challenges this population faces and the impact this program has on their success?
Sure thing. Thank you. So at Crossroads, we partner with young adults between the ages of 16 and 24. And these young people are the most vulnerable in our community. We offer them paid job training and tech-related careers, affordable housing, as well as support services. So it's not just here's an apartment, here's a check. How do you maintain those services that you're receiving? So we offer case management as a way to provide life navigation, help connect them to resources. And then we also have workforce development, which is more career navigation, helping you figure out what do you want to do when you leave Crossroads. Part of them being so vulnerable is food insecurity. As we expanded our affordable housing program, it's one of the more frequent barriers, I would say, that our young adults are facing. And you have these young adults that we see from all different sides of the spectrum, who you can literally see the burden being lifted off of them once they get approved for their benefits, because that's one thing off of their list that they can check. But you see the dismay that they experience when they start working in our job training program, and those wages count pretty much against them, right? So they're kicked off of the services. Kind of feels like a slap in the face. We also have young adults that come into the program that literally will ask us to cap their hours so that they can maintain food insecurity. And then there's a small population of young adults that come in and, not necessarily ashamed of being on SNAP, but want to get off, give me all the hours I can get in order for me to, progress in my life. So at Crossroads, it's just kind of, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to witness all sides of the spectrum, but this is the reason why we need acts and bills like this passed. And as someone like myself, I have personal experience growing up in foster care, second of 9, single mom, really relied on SNAP benefits, young adult, aging out of foster care, had my own SNAP benefits, and now to be on the other side of the spectrum, it's just true.
Thank you, Ellie, for sharing the impact SNAP had on your life and the young people that you serve in your program. Joel, the next question is for you. When Eric talks about the support young people need to succeed, it reminds me of your own needs as a young person when you were impacted by incarceration. At that young age, what were your ambitions after incarceration? And were there any challenges to those goals?
Thank you, Ken. I was first incarcerated at the age of 15. But I think I only did probably a year, and upon release at 16, I wasn't able to get a high school diploma while I was incarcerated. I wasn't able to get no trade, no training, no type of stability or way to provide for myself, but a mark on my back or further my education or anything. So I was released just with nothing but what I went in for. But I wanted to get a trade, so I tried on the streets to go to Job Corps. They said it would provide me at a young age with a trade, but I had caught a conviction. So I wasn't able to get a trade. So I feel like if I had support like Crossroads at that age, maybe I wouldn't be working on my second conviction, because I didn't know what else to rely on. I didn't have no, like he said, no career goals, no trade, nowhere to go. I didn't know what I wanted out of life. And I feel like if I had something to support me, to give me life skills, to further my education at a young age, but a mark on my back, just to give me another chance at life, I feel that I wouldn't be in the situation I am now. But good thing for programs like CEO, for when I came home off this incarceration, because I actually applied for multiple jobs and couldn't find employment. So I ended up taking this transitional work program just to put some money in my pocket, and they promised me placement for a job. So I have a middleman now, and I'm getting paid every day. I'm also getting training for how to write a resume, how to do interviews, just how to handle and conduct myself properly in a workplace. Skills I never learned in life. So I feel that SNAP really help us, boys. We don't never really want to get benefits, but when you're trying to change your life, it really helps not to go back to the lifestyle that we come from.
Thank you, Joel. The next question is to Tiffany. I know you utilize SNAP and SNAP ENT while CEO. But before coming to CEO, you struggled to meet all of the requirements to maintain your SNAP benefits. Can you describe those challenges to us?
Yes, I can. The challenges that I had to try to maintain persistence were when I was eligible for emergency food stamps, which typically lasts about 6 months. A renewal process is then it comes up and they tell you either A, get a job working 20 hours a week, or B, you become a student. For the first time, I wanted to become self-sufficient. So I obtained a job and I had to start off part-time. So I was only making about $600 every 2 weeks. I was eligible for food stamps, but I was only eligible for $25. I felt it as disrespectful, but let me tell you why I felt it was disrespectful. I thought it was disrespectful because it felt to me as if they were saying, Tiffany, you only need $25. You don't need $1. That's all you're worth. So fast forward, I'm in the same predicament. I need emergency food stamps. The renewal process comes again. This time I'm a full-time student. I'm continuing to try to better myself. This time I'm not eligible at all. Neither is it made clear. I don't really want to try again. By that time I'm discouraged. I don't know what to do, so I give up. Fast forward 2023, I am about to be released from incarceration and I'm automatically put on food stamps. And to me, this is where the beauty happens because of them putting me or giving me benefits before I'm released. I no longer have to think about how I'm going to. That takes away the mental anguish that I think about all the time while I'm incarcerated, you know? My father also takes me in until I can get on my feet. That also takes away the mental anguish of thinking about where I'm going to sleep, shelter. CEO, I already know about CEO, so they offer transitional work and they offer help to get a full-time job. So that took away and alleviated any type of fear that I had about employment. This allowed me to think about more ways to become successful instead of thinking about different ways on how I was going to fail. I thought about different ways on how I was going to succeed. And I think this is very, very important, and not just for me and not just for people that are impacted by the justice system, but for every citizen of the United States, everybody in this room, everybody.
Thank you, Tiffany. Joel, I'm going to come back to you, okay? Even though you had the support of CEO, I know you also experienced the challenges staying on SNAP benefits when you started to pursue employment outside of CEO. Can you give some examples of these challenges?
Yes. So I go through the transitional work program and CEO finds me permanent employment. I started off as something simple, a fry cook. I wasn't looking too big, $10 an hour, work from 10 to 2. I got my food stamps, so I'm able to contribute something to the household where I'm staying in, so I don't feel I have enough money to work on my transportation to get back and forth to work. Try to save up to give me a vehicle, try to do things, try to give me something for to further my career or my situation from not just living from paycheck to paycheck. So a month in, I get a letter for reduction of wages. And now my wages go, food stamps, wages go down from 250 to my, to like 35, 40. So now I have to pull double shifts. So I'm coming with 10, even from 11 to 12, just to pay my bills and make sure I still have enough food, transportation for work, back and forth. So I'm like, oh, COVID hit. Boom, I get laid off. Good thing I'm able to come back to CEO. It's a transitional work program, so they give you days. So if you do your first employment don't work, you're able to come back. So now I'm back in emergency food stamp. But once I find out I'm back working with CEO, that'll come back again. wage reduction. So it was a challenge on me of furthering myself for a better career, something to better myself, because this was just a stepping stone for me. I'm trying to transition, buy a vehicle, get a home, get things like this, and now I gotta worry about food, working, parole fees. I have a lot to more worry about now that my food wage is gone. So, and if you do have somebody that's actually you stand in the house with them, they were dependent on you to help out somewhere now. So now I'm making it. You're going through all type of struggles.
Thank you, Joel. Samantha, I'm going to come to you next. We just heard 4 different accounts of how paid training and SNAP are working in practice. Can you help summarize how the challenges we have heard relate to current SNAP and SNAP EMT policy?
Yeah, so I don't think I'm gonna say anything better than our panelists did. Thank you for sharing your stories. I think we can agree that paid training is high quality training, and high quality training leads to higher quality jobs, right? So as you've just heard, we have some opportunities to support and build on the good work being done by enacting some of these technical fixes that we've outlined. If participants and people in our communities don't have to choose between paid training or food security, then we increase spending efficiency, improve the lives of those that we intend to serve by treating them with dignity, respect, and support to pathways to economic self-sufficiency while improving economic conditions for all.
Thank you, Samantha. My final question is going to be directed to Eric and Tiffany. In addition to the challenges of balancing employment training and food benefits, I know you both have discussed the importance of acknowledging the mental toll, the stress, the impact of caregivers, and the importance of trauma-informed strategies that contribute to successful utilization of public benefits like SNAP. Tiffany, I'll go with you first. I would like to start by asking this question. Could you share more about how mental strain creates more challenges for people trying to return from incarceration successfully?
Yes, and I would actually like to share a client of mine's story, whose benefits were reduced because she got a job. And let me tell you a little bit about the things that she struggles with on the daily. She's trying to get her child back. In order to get her child back, she has to obtain housing. She only makes $908 a month, and that's before tax. And she only gets $26 on food stamps. So the only thing that she can afford right now is an extended stay at a hotel. And she pays for that every week. She also pays for Ubers to get to and from work because she's trying to save up for a car. She doesn't have one. And she also has to pay for the rest of the food that she might need because she only gets $26. So at the end of the month, you can only imagine she's left with none, if any, at all, to make up for anything that she might need other than that, like hygiene that we all know we need on a daily basis, just to be self-sufficient. You can only imagine how this might bring on anxiety, stress, depression, all types of things in trying to get her child back and things like that. This just allows the risk for if a person is taking medication for mental health issues, they'll stop taking medication. If a person has substance abuse issues, they'll relapse, or just recidivism. We see it all the time. I can identify with this because I stole because I was hungry. I went into my local Dollar General. I stole a box of Fruity Pebbles. I became very violent and belligerent with the clerk that came after me. I had to do almost 5 years for that. So that speaks volumes of what people's behaviors might result to because of them being hungry. I think it's very important for us to take a look at at an individual's living expenses, as well as lived experiences when we're trying to make them eligible for food stamps, because I think it's very important to reduce the stress of an individual, not enhance it. We don't need more enhancing of stress. We all know that. I think it's just very important for us to take a look at an individual instead of just looking at it at the end.
Thank you. Harry Sanders.
Thank you, Tiffany. I want to just stress a little bit more about the population that we partner with. There are about 9,000 plus young people between the ages of 16 and 24 that are not working in school or unsafely housed in Nashville. And 1,100 of those young people will experience literal homelessness each year. So when you want to talk about vulnerability, that is literally the epitome of our community. And that's who we're really trying to uplift. We are working with these young people. And so I think it's very important to kind of focus on and realize and recognize the ramifications of them being in survival. Survival mode is literally them having to do, as Tiffany mentioned, do what they got to do to survive. And I think it's important to take that into account when we're building these systems. We have to look at things from a trauma-informed lens, as well as when we're building the systems and when we're interacting with these young people. So living expenses and like rent and transportation costs, all of those things should be taken into account when we're building the systems, when we're advocating for acts like this to be approved in the bill.
Thank you. And before turning it back over to Leah that's coming up, I want to thank you all for sharing personal narratives. It's very brave of you to do so. So thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you, Ken, and thank you to each of you for your openness and sharing glimpses into your personal stories and challenges navigating these systems. Briefly, I want to reflect on your journeys and the long-term impact that intentional federal resources and investments can have. So Will, you were one of our first folks to walk through our Pontiac office. You very quickly became a household name for our local, state, and federal lawmakers because you're really clear at articulating how these systems working more effectively have long-term impact on people and communities. And you talked about your SNAP benefits significantly being reduced and having to make this commitment to continue training in hopes that it would pay off in the long run. And then, as Ken shared, you became the first justice impacted person to be hired by Oakland County to mentor our young people impacted by the juvenile system. Joelle, you shared that you were engrossed into a system when you were 15, and then you had to fight to get a job, to keep a job, and then do right by your family. And this persistence is clearly demonstrated on your career accomplishments with CEO and the way you continue to fight for everyone who walks through our New Orleans office. Tiffany, you talked about the mental strain and the cycles of substance misuse being another hurdle as you navigate your transition. But when you found your footing and had this support, it allowed you to not only personally thrive, but be a resource for others in the Tulsa community with Justice Link. And Eric, I know your empathy stems from a personal place of navigating the child welfare system and how SNAP was a huge part of your survival and your family's survival. And now you are finishing up your master's in social work and lead the programming for young adults at Crossroads to ensure that each of them have a champion and a fighting chance. So to close us out, I would like each of you just to share something that you want to make sure lawmakers know about SNAP, SNAP ENT, or the individuals who use these programs. And Will, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I think people are creatures. And for the returning communities, those who are transitioning from incarceration back to society, even with just anybody in this trauma, that change, trying to better life. I think that that's when we're our most vulnerable, because we're trying to develop new habits, new practices, act on new ways of thinking, and having all the support you need at that time, I think is the most effective and efficient with helping. I think my story speaks for that. The time I came home in June came home in May of 22 to got my first check from Children's Village, it was maybe 9 months. That's a 9-month commitment from getting subsidy, SNAP benefits and what have you, versus get some of my fellow participants who had to quit the program and are still in that unstable state of job to job, still need those benefits. And I like to say too that while cities like Detroit and other big metropolitan cities, this is a problem also in the more rural communities. Like I said, Pontiac's not a big city, And going there is a beautiful place. But with the changes in our automotive industry and other economic changes, you can see how the need is even greater, and that's what I'm sure all across America. So, it's just about doing the work when people need it the most. And then what's that old adage about feeding someone for a day versus teaching them how.
Joelle?
I like, Will said about it's a stepping stone. So the people that coming through our doors now that I'm on the other side, trying to help them get careers and better themselves, it becomes a struggle just to get them on Snap through the process of how long it takes for an application to go through and you get a phone interview. So if you're missing that phone interview, starting that application process over again. So, well, some get on Snap and then on the right path, and then we find them employment or we find them training and their wages get cut. So they want to come back on our transition work program, rather find employment, which goes against our mission. Like, my job is to help you get training for a career, give you the benefits that you need to overcome your barriers so where you could be successful career in your career goals, be able to help your household, be able to give back to society, to be a good citizen in your community. So by certain stepping stones, not roadblocks, getting their way, they feel like they rather take the temporary thing instead of keep going, trying to grow. So it's a struggle just getting on Snap, and it's a struggle for them. And they do, it's like they have no wind, no help to go back to what the Snap is a big help.
Thanks, Joelle. Tiffany?
I just wanna maybe speak about the misconceptions about benefits. I think a lot of misconceptions are that we don't wanna work, that we just want a handout. And I think that's further from the truth. I think everybody in this room and everybody that's born is built with some type of self-sufficiency. We wanna be something since we're young. And a lot of the times either homelessness, coming out of prison, or you might have made a bad investment and lost everything. Anything can happen. And I think we need to maybe start looking at just individuals as individuals and start supporting them to try to get employment and not penalizing them. I know in the state of Oklahoma, if you make zero income, you get $291 in food stamps. And like I said before, if you're low income, you make 25, 26, 30. So I think that it kind of sounds like it promotes us being unemployed instead of being employed, which a lot of people want to be.
Great. Eric?
I would just close with supporting bills like this really allow organizations such as Crossroads and all the other ESCs around the country to be more effective and efficient in doing the work. We are on the front lines, the ones that are doing what most people may not want to do. And so supporting this will really help us in completing that goal. And then I also think what Tiffany mentioned is kind of like destigmatizing this myth essentially about those that are recipients of SNAP. One of the things I lead with in our organization is your trauma is not your fault, but your feeling is your responsibility, right? And so you play a part in where you are, where you go, your destiny, your journey. So we do need to continue to support bills like this so that we can support those people today, progressing.
Thanks, Eric. And Samantha?
Yeah, thanks. So I think, what we're hearing, this is more than just food. This is more than just a training program. A bipartisan farm bill means that everybody wins. With some of these technical fixes that we've talked about today, can foster more efficiency, support growth for the economy, and foster synergy to improve lives of all Americans. With the 800+ ESCs across the nation, they're already doing the hard work. By investing in policy that reduces burden at all levels, it promotes pathways to economic empowerment and allows flexibility to serve the communities that we intend to. Everybody wins on all sides of the economic, political, administrative, and programmatic aisle.
Okay. All righty. So the Training and Nutrition Stability Act, we've said it enough during this discussion, allows people to complete their training and earn a wage to stabilize themselves and support their families with the goal of long-term economic mobility. So once again, thank you to each of you for bringing the real life and diverse experiences for individuals across the country who navigate these systems. We hope that each of you has a deeper understanding of this technical fix provided by the Training and Nutrition Stability Act and will continue to advocate for this change in the upcoming Farm Bill negotiations. Please have some of those snacks and thank you for coming. Appreciate it.